Welcome back, everyone. We're diving back into the world of IELTS today.
Oh, yeah.
And specifically,
Yeah.
we're looking at grammar.
Yeah.
You've probably been looking at those IELTS scores, right? And like how grammar plays into like what score you get and all that.
Yeah.
And I know it can be a little overwhelming looking at all the data.
Right.
So we're going to break it down today.
Yeah.
And we're looking at some data here that breaks down the different types of grammatical errors that people make at the different IELTS bands levels, broken down by their first language.
Right.
Pretty cool stuff. And like one of the things that I found right away that was interesting was that even at like the high band levels, like 7.5, there's still a lot of errors.
Yeah, that's what's so interesting is that, even at those top tier levels, you're still going to see a surprising number of grammatical errors.
Yeah, and overall, like just across the board,
Yeah.
no matter what band you're at, no matter what your first language is, there's almost one error for every 10 words.
Yeah, basically.
Which is about an 8.5% error rate, which I know sounds kind of scary.
It does sound a little alarming, but I think it's really important to remember that effective communication isn't about being grammatically perfect all the time.
Exactly.
Language is about conveying meaning.
Yeah.
And these test takers are obviously conveying meaning very successfully.
Yeah, and one of the things that I found really interesting was that between bands 5.5 and 6.5, there's a pretty big jump in accuracy. So if you're trying to get a higher score, that's where you want to focus.
Absolutely. That's a key area to focus on. And I think that also kind of ties into something else that's really important.
Okay.
That reaching a higher band isn't just about eliminating those basic errors.
Right.
It's about mastering more complex grammar. And actually what's interesting is that as you reach bands 6.5 and 7, your error rates might plateau or even increase.
Wait, so it can actually go down?
It can.
And get better?
As you level up, the grammar gets more and more intricate.
I understand.
So you might start making new types of errors that you weren't making before as you're grappling with these new, more sophisticated structures.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So it's not just about like ditching the simple mistakes. It's about like getting to a whole new level of complexity.
You got it.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Another thing that I thought was really interesting was how a person's first language can actually impact their error rate. So, for example, like Italian speakers tend to do better with articles and prepositions than Arabic speakers. Even if they're the same band level, which I thought was really interesting.
Yeah, it is interesting. And I think, it's important to point out here that the IELTS scoring system is not just about grammar.
Right.
Right. You can have a really strong performance in other areas, like vocabulary fluency, how well you organize your ideas, and those things can actually compensate for those little grammar slip-ups.
Yeah, that's comforting.
Yeah, it is. It's about the whole picture.
Right.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's zoom in on the types of errors that people are making.
Okay.
I mean, who hasn't messed up a and the at some point?
Exactly. Determiners are
life.
definitely a common pitfall.
Right.
But here's what's really interesting is that certain types of errors actually disappear as you reach those higher levels.
Okay.
Whereas others tend to stick around.
Okay.
So, for instance, errors with possessive Y pronouns, like whose, practically disappear.
Okay.
But those tricky personal Y pronouns like who versus whom, they keep popping up.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
And then some errors even make a comeback at like band 7.5.
Right.
Like there's actually a resurgence in errors with proper nouns, verbs, and pronouns.
Yeah.
Which is so interesting.
I know, right? It's like grammar has a few tricks up its sleeve. It really just shows you that even at those very advanced levels, people are still grappling with the finer points of English.
Yeah.
Language learning, it's a journey, it's ongoing.
It is.
Yeah.
So what does this all mean for people out there who are either prepping for the IELTS or who are using English every day at work?
I think this research really makes us question those minimum IELTS score requirements that a lot of organizations have. If even high scorers are making these grammatical slip-ups, maybe we should focus more on assessing those real-world communication skills in a more holistic way.
You've hit on such an important point.
Yeah.
Because if even these high scorers are making mistakes, then what does it even mean to like have perfect language?
Exactly.
Something to think about.
Absolutely. Something to ponder.
As you continue your English language journey.
For sure.
All right. That's all the time we have for today.
Thanks for having me.
See you next time.
See you later.